You know, when I was going over this Denver shooting stuff for our deep dive, it was just really striking to me how like an ordinary event can turn into something so tragic. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, just a fender bender on I-25 in February 2021. Like, it's crazy how that can happen to anyone. Right? And for Pamela Cabales, this 32-year-old real estate agent and mother, it was a fatal shooting.
It's awful.
So what was it for you when you were looking over the material? What was the most impactful or surprising detail for you?
I think it was the juxtaposition of like the mundane
with
the suddenness of violence.
Yeah.
You know, we've got these eyewitness accounts.
Yeah.
Like Jaden Aarons, who was driving home from an appointment and he thought the gunshots were fireworks.
Wow.
You know, and I think that's really interesting about like how our brains try and make sense of something that doesn't make sense. And then there's Alex Martinez, who was driving home from a soccer game and saw the shooter firing into Pamela's car.
Oh, wow.
And the shooter was a teenager.
Wow.
Yeah.
So just these ordinary activities turned into a backdrop for this horrible event.
Like how fragile safety is.
Totally. Right.
That it can just change like that.
Absolutely. And the fact that the shooter, Remy Cordova, was only 14.
14 years old.
Just adds like another layer to it all.
Yeah.
And you provided that audio clip of his police interview where he's apologizing to his mother, and it's just jarring to hear a child's voice in connection with such a serious crime. What do you think was going through his head?
Oh, man.
At that moment?
It's so hard to say, you know? But it is fascinating. Like, is it genuine remorse for what he did? Or is it just he's facing consequences and he's apologizing to his mother because he's in trouble? You know? Like, you have to wonder about the power dynamic there, you know? A parent's influence, especially within that gang context, you know? I think it really raises the question about the role of family shaping a young person's choices, especially in a world that says violence is how you get respect and status.
It's almost like he's compartmentalizing the seriousness of his actions by focusing on disappointing his mom as opposed to taking a life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that begs the question, was this shooting like a way to climb the ranks in his gang? Because Cordova and the other suspect, Nishan Johnson, were encountered by police the day after the shooting at a McDonald's.
Wow.
During another gang-related incident.
Wow.
So this gang activity, it really shifts the focus from just a random shooting to a larger pattern of behavior.
So it wasn't just road rage, but potentially a move.
Yeah, like a calculated move. To prove himself.
Yeah, that's disturbing.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the challenges that law enforcement faces when they're dealing with gang violence? Especially with juveniles.
It's incredibly complex. It's not just about apprehending individuals, but it's about understanding the social and economic conditions that make these gangs in the first place. You know, a lot of times these young people are drawn to gangs because they're looking for belonging and purpose and protection. Things that they might not have in their lives.
Yeah, it's this tragic irony where they seek safety in a group that's ultimately putting them in harm's way. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then you add the legal complexities of juvenile crime.
And it's tricky.
You know,
it really is.
Like, should a 14-year-old be tried as an adult for something like this? It's just this constant debate about rehabilitation versus accountability and how to address the vulnerabilities of these young people.
It's a tough question. No easy answers.
For sure.
And what about Nishan Johnson? The other suspect. What was his role in this? And how were his interactions with the police different from Cordova's? Well, the police interviews show that Johnson was evasive at first during questioning.
Right.
But unlike Cordova, there wasn't a parent present during his interrogation.
Right.
So that difference might have had a big impact on his willingness to talk and what he told them.
So that's interesting that Cordova's mom was there and Johnson's parents weren't.
Yeah.
Did that hinder or help the investigation, do you think?
Well,
or was it pressure for him?
It's hard to say, but having a parent there can give a kid a sense of security.
Right.
And they know someone's there for them, you know? So they might be less likely to say things that make them look guilty, you know?
Right.
But like we've talked about, parents can make things complicated too.
Right.
And that brings up another question.
Okay.
Did Cordova's mom being there unintentionally make him confess?
Yeah.
Did he feel like he had to protect her?
Right.
Or even take the blame himself?
Right.
You know,
that's a good point.
Definitely something to think about.
Yeah.
You know, there's always a chance.
Yeah.
Cordova felt like he had to keep his mom out of it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And because of the way parents and kids are, especially when things are stressful, like a police interview, he might have answered differently because she was there, you know, maybe without even realizing it.
Wow. Yeah, it's a good reminder that the psychology of these interrogations, especially with kids, is just as important as the legal stuff.
Yeah, we're not talking about career criminals here.
Yeah.
These are kids who are easily influenced and they do things for reasons they don't even understand.
Right, and that brings us back to motive.
Yeah.
Why did Cordova shoot at Pamela's car after a fender bender?
Yeah.
Was it just to climb the ranks in his gang? Or was there more to it?
Yeah.
I kept thinking about that. Like, was he angry?
Yeah.
Or frustrated that day? Did something happen before the fender bender?
Yeah.
I mean, how does a fender bender?
It's hard to wrap your head around.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I think it's fascinating to look at the role of impulsivity.
Okay.
And how being in a gang can really warp how you see risk and consequences.
Right.
Cordova wanted to be recognized in his gang.
Okay.
He needed to prove himself with violence.
So it's not just the fender bender itself, but the whole gang culture where violence is how you get respect.
Right. It's a currency.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's a twisted way of thinking.
Yeah.
You know, where human life is meaningless and aggression is normal.
It's really sad.
Yeah. And it reflects the bigger problems in society that lead to
gang violence.
Like poverty, lack of opportunity, exposure to violence.
Yeah.
Makes it easy for these groups to take root.
Yeah. So how do we break this cycle?
Oh, man, that's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
So complicated. Yeah. It needs a multi-pronged approach.
Right.
We have to address the root causes and give young people other options and challenge this idea that glorifies violence.
So it's not just about law enforcement and punishment, but about prevention and intervention and creating opportunities.
Exactly. We got to give them a chance to thrive.
Outside of that environment.
We got to give them hope that there's a better way than the street and gangs. Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
Pamela Cabales' life
it's awful.
Was cut short.
Yeah.
And her 6-year-old son, Leo, is left with this unimaginable pain.
It's just heartbreaking.
Of losing his mother.
Yeah.
What struck you about the aftermath of the shooting and how the community responded?
I was really struck by the outpouring of support for her family.
Yeah.
That GoFundMe for Leo's college raised a ton of money.
Wow.
And it shows that people really cared and wanted to help in a real way.
Yeah, it's a testament to Pamela's impact on people.
Yeah.
Even with this senseless loss.
It's beautiful.
There's still kindness and compassion.
Yeah, it's a reminder.
And it makes you think about the long-term consequences of this event, not just for those involved, but the community as a whole.
Exactly. It's a wound. It takes time. You know?
Yeah.
A reminder that violence affects more than just the victims. It leaves scars on families and communities and society as a whole.
So let's move on to the legal outcomes. Cordova was tried as an adult. And he got life. with the possibility of parole after 40 years.
Right.
Johnson got 35 years. What are your thoughts on these sentences? Well, and how do they reflect the complexities of the justice system when it comes to juveniles committing serious crimes?
Yeah, they really highlight that ongoing debate about how to treat young offenders. Right. You know? Trying a 14-year-old as an adult is controversial. Right. It brings up all these questions about accountability and rehabilitation and what justice even means.
It's a tough balance.
Yeah.
Right? You need to hold people accountable.
Yeah.
Especially when someone dies.
Yeah.
But juveniles are still developing.
Yeah.
Their brains aren't fully formed.
Right.
Their decision-making isn't mature.
Yeah.
Like in adults.
They're different.
Right.
Yeah.
So is the goal of the justice system just punishment?
Yeah.
Or should it be about rehabilitation and redemption, too?
Yeah.
Cordova will be in prison for a long time.
Yeah.
But is that enough?
Right.
Does it fix the problems that led him there?
Right.
Does it give him a chance to change?
Yeah.
To be a good person?
To contribute to society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are questions I think we all need to wrestle with. How do we balance accountability with rehabilitation?
Especially with young people.
Especially with young people.
Yeah. It's complicated.
It really is.
But we need to keep talking about it.
Absolutely.
We need to look at our systems, find new approaches, and figure out how to stop juvenile crime.
So let's take a step back.
Okay.
And think about what this case says about us as a society, our values, the challenges we face.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
What does it all mean?
It's a lot to think about.
It really is.
Yeah. It's clear that those interrogations really played a part in this.
Yeah.
Especially because the suspects were so young.
Yeah.
And Cordova's mom was there.
Right.
Those transcripts really show the different ways the police question them.
I noticed that too. Yeah. The way they talked to Johnson.
Right.
Who didn't really want to talk.
Yeah, he was evasive.
Was different from how they talked to Cordova. Can you talk about those differences?
Yeah.
And what kind of impact they might have had?
Well, with Johnson, they were more in his face.
Okay.
They challenged him, showed him evidence that didn't match his story.
Right.
And that can work.
Right.
Sometimes people confess.
Yeah.
But it can also lead to false confessions, especially if someone feels pressured or scared.
It makes me think, could Johnson being alone
it's possible
have made him more vulnerable?
It could have.
To that pressure.
Yeah.
Compared to Cordova, who had his mom there.
Yeah, having a parent there can make a kid feel safer.
Right.
Like they have someone on their side, you know? So they might not say things that'll get them in trouble, but we've talked about this.
Yeah.
Parents can mess things up too, you know?
Yeah, it's tricky.
It really is.
Right.
Yeah.
So Cordova's mom being there raises an ethical question. Did it make him confess?
Right.
Even if she didn't mean to.
Exactly. Did he feel like he had to protect her?
Yeah.
Did he take the blame?
Right.
So she wouldn't get in trouble?
Wow. Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, it's something to think about.
Yeah.
There's always a chance.
Right.
He felt like he had to keep her out of it.
It's all about the psychology of these interrogations. Especially with kids.
Especially with kids.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not just about what's legal.
We got to remember, these aren't hardened criminals.
Right.
They're young.
Yeah.
Easily influenced.
Yeah.
They make choices they don't even understand.
Right.
And that brings us back to why he did it.
Yeah. Why did he shoot at Pamela's car?
Right. At her car after a fender bender.
Right.
Was it just to move up in the gang?
Right. Or was there something else?
Yeah.
I keep going back to that. Like, was he mad that day?
Right.
Was he frustrated?
Yeah.
Did something happen before the fender bender?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fender bender.
It's hard to imagine how that could lead to this.
Right.
I think we need to consider how impulsive he might have been. And how gangs can twist how you see things, like risk and consequences.
Right.
Cordova wanted to be somebody in his gang.
Okay.
He needed to prove himself.
Yeah.
And violence was the way to do it.
So it's not just the fender bender.
Yeah.
But the whole gang thing.
Exactly.
Where violence is
how you get respect.
How you get ahead.
Exactly. It's like a
currency.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's messed up.
It's messed up.
It really is.
Life doesn't mean anything.
And being aggressive is just normal.
And it's sad.
It's sad. Yeah, it showed you the bigger problems that cause this.
Like poverty.
Yeah.
No opportunities. Seeing violence all the time.
Right.
It creates the perfect environment for gangs.
So how do we stop this?
That's the million-dollar question.
It really is.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
We need to do a lot of things.
Right.
We need to fix the root problems.
Right.
Give kids other choices.
Yeah.
And change the way we think about violence.
So it's not just about the police.
Right.
And punishing people.
Yeah, we got to do more.
Right.
We got to prevent it.
Yeah, and give people a chance.
Exactly.
To make a better life for themselves.
Yeah, give them hope.
Right.
Show them there's another way.
Yeah, that there's something better in the streets.
Than gangs.
Yeah. For sure. Pamela Cabales.
It's just awful.
Her life was cut short.
Yeah.
And her son, Leo.
It breaks my heart.
Just 6 years old.
I know.
He's dealing with so much pain.
I can't even imagine.
Losing his mother.
Yeah.
What did you think about
what
happened after the shooting and how people responded?
I was amazed by how much support they gave her family, that GoFundMe for Leo's college, raised a ton of money.
Wow.
It shows people really cared and wanted to help.
It shows how much Pamela meant to people, even with this terrible loss.
It's beautiful to see.
There's still kindness in the world.
I think it's important.
And it makes you think about how this affects everyone, not just those involved, but the community too.
Exactly. It's like a wound that takes time to heal.
Yeah.
You know?
Violence hurts more than just the victims.
It leaves scars
on
everyone. Families, communities, society as a whole.
Let's talk about the legal stuff. Cordova was tried as an adult.
Right.
He got life.
Yeah.
But he could get parole.
Right.
After 40 years. Johnson got 35 years.
Right.
What do you think about those sentences?
Yeah.
And what do they say?
Yeah.
About how our justice system deals with kids who commit serious crimes?
They really show the debate we're having about how to treat young offenders.
Trying a 14-year-old as an adult is a big deal.
It's controversial. It raises a lot of questions like accountability, rehabilitation, what justice really means.
It's a tough balance.
It really is.
Right.
Yeah.
We have to hold people accountable, especially when someone is killed.
Right.
But kids are different.
Their brains aren't fully developed. They don't make decisions.
Right.
The same way adults do.
So what's the point of the justice system? Is it just to punish?
Right.
Or is it also about helping them change, giving them a second chance?
Exactly.
Cordova's going to be in prison for a long time.
Yeah.
But is that enough?
Right.
Does it fix what led him there?
Right. Does it address the underlying issues?
Right. Does he get a chance to be a better person?
Yeah. To contribute to society.
These are things we all need to think about.
Yeah. We have to grapple with these questions.
How do we balance holding people accountable with helping them change?
Especially young people.
Especially young people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
It really is.
But we need to keep talking about it. We need to look at how things are done and find new ways to deal with juvenile crime.
Let's step back for a second.
Okay.
And think about what this says about us.
Okay.
As a society. Our values.
Right.
The problems we're facing.
Yeah.
What does it all mean?
Yeah, that's the big question.
This deep dive has been a lot.
Yeah, it's heavy stuff.
From the shooting itself to gang violence and how the justice system works.
Yeah.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed by all of it.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to remember, change starts with awareness, with talking about it.
Absolutely.
And admitting there's a problem.
We can't ignore it.
We talked about poverty, lack of opportunity, and exposure to violence as reasons why people join gangs.
Yeah, those are huge factors.
But what can we actually do as individuals and as a society to address those issues?
Well, one thing is investing in these communities that are struggling. Good education, job training, mental health services, that can help people get out of poverty.
Give them a chance.
Exactly. And we need to support organizations that are already working with these kids who are at risk, giving them mentors, teaching them how to resolve conflict peacefully, and showing them there are other ways besides joining a gang.
It's about giving them a safety net, a reason to believe that there's a future for them, that there's something better.
Their lives matter.
Yeah, and it's not just about resources. It's about changing.
Yeah.
When you change
that, we think about this.
The story challenged the idea that violence is the answer. That it's the only way.
Especially in these communities.
Exactly. We got to show them. There's another way. We need to change the whole mindset.
Totally.
Not just the circumstances.
And that starts with each of us.
So what can we do?
In our own lives.
In our own communities.
In our own little corners of the world.
To make a difference.
Well, we can start talking about it with our families, our friends, our neighbors,
our communities.
Exactly. We can support programs that help young people and prevent violence. We can volunteer, donate, just spread the word.
Even small things can make a difference.
Totally.
It's like planting a seed.
Exactly.
It all adds up.
Nurturing, empathy, and understanding.
And believing that we can make things better.
Believing in a better world.
Absolutely.
We can't bring Pamela back.
No, we can't.
But we can honor her by working to prevent this from happening again.
We can make a world where a fender bender is just a fender bender.
Not a reason to shoot someone.
That's a powerful thought.
It is.
As we wrap up, I want to challenge our listeners to think about what they can do to be part of the solution.
What can you do?
Maybe talk to a young person. Volunteer.
At a community center. Donate to an organization.
That's working to stop gang violence.
Exactly.
Every step we take, every choice we make,
every action
matters.
It all matters.
It's about realizing we're all responsible for creating a better world.
For everyone.
A safer world.
A more just world.
A more compassionate world.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for listening.
We hope this deep dive made you think, challenged your ideas.
And hopefully gave you hope.
And made you want to be part of the solution.
We can do this together.
Remember, change starts with each of us. Let's work together to create a world
where tragedies like this
don't happen anymore.
Where Pamela's story
becomes a distant memory.
Not something we see.
Not a recurring nightmare.
Every single day.